Spreading the floor.
On the floor.
Episode 31.
Welcome to Spreading the
31. 31 of these episodes. How we doing?
with your
We
host,
doing good,
Great.
Nige?
It sounds great coming through the headphones finally, man.
Petty Fernandez.
Yeah, I'm saying I
Yeah.
leveled up with the sound interface here.
The mixer, man. Yeah, sounds good.
And guess what? Guess what? Mixer Coop.
Episode 30.
Oh, that's we just kind of got exposed for our behind the scenes operation there. I was gonna say Mixer Coop has all the control over the sound quality and the way the sound comes out, and then immediately just plays the the first part of our last podcast. But welcome back to the show. Oh my God, Nigel, you doing good? How you doing, buddy? You're sleeping a lot of today?
Living the dream, man. Getting ready for New Year's. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Listen, we got a lot. You know what? I was like a kid in a candy store with all these opening night games. We got to talk about Christmas Day. What I mean, like not maybe if the candy was rotten in some areas because it wasn't. I mean, we could start off with that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the opening night games weren't really fun to watch. I feel like, funnily enough, some of the preseason games were actually more enjoyable than the opening night games themselves that the NBA had planned out
Yeah, absolutely.
to be interesting.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
And I think that's due, man, to the Nets coming, out of the gate big, and then the Bucks also coming out making a statement. We are actually smoking that Golden State pack this episode because they just got through 2 games. They got absolutely demolished.
Yeah, I know.
So we got to talk about them. Some questions around them as a franchise now. I don't want to be that fan also that's like super knee-jerk and not analytical, but we'll get into that too. We got to talk about our player award predictions. We got to talk about a bunch of players. You know what? I don't think it's going to be too disrespectful to call them role players, but a bunch of role players getting extensions,
Yeah.
kind of in that gray area that we see. Got to talk about Harden, what he's been doing. He had some confrontations. So we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Where do you want to start, Nige?
I'd like to talk about the Christmas games. I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah,
I
remember you texting me about that. You were like, "This is terrible."
Yeah, I'm usually pretty excited to watch Christmas games. One of my favorite games ever of all time was the 2016 Christmas Day.
2016?
Yeah, from Cavs and Warriors. Kyrie Irving hit that fadeaway game win.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of all time. But I mean, I set up my
There were just some
computer.
insane sequences.
Yeah, I set up my computer right next to my PlayStation, and I was just looking at the score. It just wasn't interesting. There was no reason for me to ever give my full attention to the game. So, I know there were a couple records.
Just a lot of blowouts.
Yeah, just every game was.
There were a couple of records. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like I remember there was.
with Robinson on the Heat, he broke the record for most threes in a half.
Yeah.
By 2, I believe.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah, on Christmas
it was 8,
Day.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wildness.
I don't know. It was just wasn't interesting. And then you had the Clippers getting shut down by 50 yesterday about the Mavericks. That was a different story too. So
overtime has no chill. Overtime has 0 chill. You know what I'm saying? Actually, all social media posting, sports services or sports news sites on social media have absolutely no chill because every single one of them was posting memes about that. I mean, as they should.
Yeah, you have to.
I think it kind of came out of, I was kind of like half watching the game because I was editing another clip from the stream I did, but yeah, man, it looked like they were getting destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's supposed to be like a really top tier team, and then they get blown out by 50. I mean, no team's ever been down by that much at halftime before in NBA history.
All types of records for inconsistency
Yeah.
or incompetence being set early in the season here.
I mean, the Mavs, I guess everything was just going in. I mean, it's rare to see a team scoring, what was it, like 77 at half? Like, that's rare. But, like, to only score 23 points at halftime, I mean, that's crazy.
I think, where do you think this puts the Clippers? Because I think there's still obviously a top-tier team. It's just you have those nights. I think that also you could chalk it up kind of to the NBA having a lot more parity this year. I think it's a more week-to-week or a day-to-day type of league like the NFL where anyone can beat another team at any given time, save maybe the Nets and the Lakers. I just think that was kind of a product of that.
Yeah.
A product of the league being a lot more competitive. I have some takes about that I'll get into later. But yeah, I mean, either way, you shouldn't be losing by 50 if you're the Clippers.
No, absolutely not.
Especially coming off a season where you blew a 3-1 lead. Everyone's looking at you with high expectations saying, all right, this is going to be the team now that's coming back. They're looking like they're going to be the team to beat. And they've listen. Besides that, they've looked good. I just a bad night, man, for the Clippers.
Yeah,
Real bad,
no bueno.
absolutely real bad. You know.
Yeah, you don't want that, definitely not. I mean, it shows that they're not. I mean, Kawhi is obviously the leader. I don't think he was playing that night, but it shows that they're not really getting much done without Kawhi. You know.
It's a scary thing for the Clippers for sure,
Yeah,
especially because you signed Paul George to that big extension,
I
and
know.
now you kind of realize that in a way Kawhi might have been the catalyst for that team, and then if you're Clippers upper management, you're sitting there like,
Yeah,
oh boy, what are we doing here? What are we
yeah.
really doing here? But
And
you know what? I don't think it's maybe I think here's the thing. I think for sure if you're the Clippers, you take this game and you look at film and you use it as an adjustment period and say, okay, this is probably our lowest, right? You use that and you make adjustments and you don't view this as a loss, as a monumental loss, which it is. You view it as an opportunity to move forward as a team. Because again, it's early in the season, so all of our predictions on the show are probably going to could be defended by saying that hey, it's early in the season, or it could be argumented by saying that hey, it's early in the season. It's not, you're not having such a solid look at teams yet. We don't know how teams are formulating, how teams are playing out. I think also that it's just, you got to chalk it up to that. If you're the Clippers, you can't let this affect you moving forward because
absolutely.
their morale is going to be real low coming into next game. So next game's going to be, and it's not like the season's dramatically short. It's only 72 games. So it's not like the season's crazy shortened, excuse me. So you don't have to worry about this affecting you too much. But what you do need to worry about is the locker room culture going out. You know what I'm saying? After
Absolutely.
this. So that's the only real kind of downside that I think this loss could have to a team like the Clippers. And if you're talking about a team like the Mavericks, that's on the other side of that. I mean, man, you got to be feeling like world beaters coming out of this game, man. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for real, for
Not
real.
only getting to a 50-point lead, but keeping and holding that 50-point lead throughout the. You know what I'm saying? You got to be feeling like studs right now
Yeah,
especially in the West where there's a lot of competitiveness. Obviously, they still need to worry about the Lakers, but this I think emboldens the Mavericks a little bit for sure.
right,
And
definitely.
and Luka, if you want to talk about guys that you need like franchise guys, franchise cornerstones, Luka showed out 44 points. If I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah, I
he had
believe so.
44 points that game or something crazy like that. But man, if you're the Mavericks, you just gotta, like I said, in the same way, you gotta look at tape, tighten up anything you did wrong, and ride the morale high into next
Yeah,
game, and hopefully
absolutely.
make a run.
Yeah, well, if the Mavericks could find, the holes in the Clippers defense, it's not if you anyone has access to that film, I'm sure a bunch of teams
Yeah,
are gonna be looking at that and being like, what did they do right? You know what I'm saying? And how can we capitalize on the same thing? So if you're the Clippers, you're worried about that, definitely. But like everyone has bad nights. Some nights just things
yeah.
aren't going in. So they're a great team, so they'll be back.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people,
Yeah,
I think it goes back to what we always talk about. NBA fans are so knee jerk with the way they do things. Everyone's like, end to the Clippers as an organization. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is so in the same way that I'm sure now it's a week to week kind of league. The fans are very week to week. So I think
yeah,
both teams should be
absolutely.
fine, but it comes down to me it comes down to me for me to the momentum that both teams are going to have to kind of craft coming out of this.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree.
All right, what do we want to talk about next? Because actually, do you want to talk about the other Christmas games? Because what were I can't remember which games were. Was it was the Nets versus Celtics? Was that on Christmas Day? I watched a
Yes.
bunch of games. I can't even
Yeah,
remember.
it was Nets versus Celtics. It was Warriors versus Bucks, I believe,
Bucks.
right?
Yeah,
It was Heat versus
Pelicans. There you go.
Pelicans.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all coming back to me. And then I think the Clippers played the Nuggets later in the day, but I didn't catch that game.
Clippers. Yeah, that was at 10:30. We were talking about that. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know if I want to play or I want to watch that.
yeah, I was a little
Um,
bit late.
But yeah, I thought the Celtics, unpopular opinion, I thought the Celtics looked good up until the end against the Nets. I think the Celtics are always going to be a staple in the East. I think I like the way what's his name? Excuse me, Marcus Smart. I like how he got the nod to get up to the one spot. And
Yeah,
I think the Celtics as a team are going to still be a team to watch in the East. I think everyone's just looking at the Nets right now because the Nets are there's such a looming ominous figure. I still have the Milwaukee Bucks though. Probably if you're talking about coming out of the East, I'd say out of the heap below the Nets, because that's kind of how I guess you have to do things now after the two opening games for the Nets. I'd probably say that the Bucks are on top there, and then maybe the Celtics right under that. So the Celtics look good. They just have trouble, and it's something that they've kind of always had trouble with is holding a lead. But
Yeah.
they look good up until then. They looked, Jason Tatum was really solid offensively. Marcus Smart was looking real good both defensively and offensively, kind of continuing that trend from last year in the bubble. A lot of players are continuing their trends from the bubble last year, which is really good to see. But Marcus Smart in particular, I think is going to be. Well, we'll talk about our player predictions later for player awards, but he's definitely in a couple of categories for me. So
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
like the way the Celtics played up until the end, and then they blew it.
Yeah, yeah, I really like their ball movement, and they didn't have their leader Kemba Walker,
That's true.
so they were kind of out there short staffed, and they did play well. You're right till about the last quarter, I think it was. But that Nets team is looking very scary. I don't know if I gave them enough credit before the season started, but Kevin Durant is playing well. Kyrie Irving is playing very well. Kyrie Irving is playing out of his mind. His game is he's definitely starting to back up his words with his game, which I was happy about, which I was hoping he would do. So that Nets team is looking very scary, and if they can continue like this, then I might have to move around some of my seed predictions in the East and conference. I mean,
Well, no, you were never. I don't think you ever hated on the Nets. I think you had the Nets coming out of the East, right? I mean, I was more if we're pointing figures, I think I was more of a Nets hater than anything because I thought that with all those mouths to feed, those those alpha presences in the locker room, that it might be more of an issue than anything. But it seems like they're gelling fine. I'd say that the only thing that would stand in their way hypothetically is if either gentleman gets injured.
yeah,
That would be my only real problem, or the only thing really standing in the way of the Nets conquering the East. Because if you think about it, also DeAndre Jordan is having it's almost like the renaissance of his career in a way. Because
right,
we were talking about it too. He has that perfect setup for him where he has two offensive titans on with him in the floor, and that creates mismatches. And the best thing that DeAndre Jordan can do is go up there and get it and slam it home. So if you
absolutely,
have a guy like KD and you have a guy like Kyrie that's drawing in a lot of attention from the defense, and you have Joe Harris who's also money from three, and a bench that's deep and talented, that could a lot of people think could be a starting five on any other squad. I mean,
yeah,
it's a system that plays into itself and allows guys to flourish. And I think that's what makes this Nets team so scary. So DeAndre Jordan has been playing terrifically. I mean, who do you want to go to, man? That's the MO of the Nets right now. Who do you want to go to?
yeah. No, definitely. I mean, Kyrie's just they were already a good team before Katie and Kyrie got there, but Kyrie's just been playing so out of his mind. I mean, he's just making everything. Of course, injury is also always a possibility. I mean, you obviously hope that it doesn't happen, but yeah, I mean, they're just looking so good out there. It's just like I can't name any team that could honestly give them. I mean, maybe Giannis and the Bucks probably would give them some trouble, but
That's what I was
right
thinking.
right now, playoffs start today. I have the Nets going to the finals
Oh yeah.
easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The only thing that really, I mean, if we have to worry, the only thing we have to worry about with Kyrie getting injured is if Kyrie gets injured, bro, he's pulling out the burner accounts. I mean, it'll be hell for the media. If Kyrie
yeah,
gets injured again, he has too much free time on his hands. It's clips for the media.
yeah.
Um,
No,
but
no
no, no.
way,
In
no.
all seriousness, I hope nothing bad happens to Kyrie, because as much as we talk shit about him, right, and as much as we drag him on the show, and Katie, from time to time. I think watching those two play in tandem, and they're resting next game because they single handedly just demolished through two games anyone that was put in front of them offensively. I forgot how prolific they were, and
Yeah,
it sounds silly because I'm an NBA fan, but not seeing them play for a large majority of the year and then seeing them again, it's like Kyrie is a mismatch for anyone in front of him.
right.
I think even the league's best defenders have problems guarding him, obviously, because of just his skill finishing around the rim, his dribbling ability. It's been, and KD, talk about a guy that can just pull up over anyone and makes it look easy. And you know what? It's it's
Yeah,
it's just it's scary to see. I
and
I
they're
I, I Go ahead. Sorry.
Go, my bad. I
I
don't
was gonna
think
say I
either one.
texted you.
Yeah, I don't think either one of them are at 100%. They're both coming off injuries. They're both a little bit rusty. So I mean, that's very scary. If they can
Yeah.
keep this up, it's like yeah, easy finals appearance, easy,
And you
no
know what?
problem.
You know what stood out about me, or you know what stood out about the Nets to me? I can't talk today. What stood out about the Nets to me is the fact that they're such a new team with a new coach like Steve Nash, and they already look so clean offensively.
Yeah,
That's
they're
what's
playing very
scary.
well. They're sharing the ball a lot. They're playing very unselfishly, and they're
Right.
getting it. They're getting everything they want. They're not taking any shots that like bad shots. They're working the ball around and they're doing what they have to do. And Kyrie's just fearless, and I think Katie's definitely a little bit more rusty than Kyrie is, in my opinion. But Kyrie's kind of helping him along, pulling him out of the slump, and it's definitely working. Something's working. They
Yeah.
need to continue doing that.
Do we officially have to eat our words on this podcast now?
I think we have to. Well, I mean, look, it's been 2 games. Let's give him another 30 games.
Okay. 2 games
We'll
in.
see.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll see how they do in the long run. But I mean, if we're talking about a sprint instead of a marathon, they win. I mean,
Yeah.
wow, holy shit. I mean, it was crazy watching them.
And it seems like for the at the moment for the marathon, they should be fine. I don't know, man. It's
Yeah,
real scary. They're looking like the Lakers of the East.
yeah.
Think about it: two
Oh
go-to
yeah,
star
100%.
players, two go-to star players, uh, a a talented bench, solid role players around them. I mean, it's very very similar. The optic is very similar between those two teams. Scary.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry didn't stand a chance that day.
Also, though, Steph Curry didn't play that well himself. I know that they got Kelly Oubre Jr. and what's his face, Kelly Oubre Jr. and
Wiggins, right?
Wiggins, Maple Jordan, yeah, Wiggins,
Yeah,
tossing up bricks like nobody's business. But
yeah,
Steph Curry, listen, I mean, we saw it in the finals. He has trouble carrying a team by himself. He could drop 44 if he doesn't have a good team around him. I don't think he has that same inclination like LeBron to get his guys better and involved. And I think we've seen that through 2 games. I mean, listen, I'm talking about on the court.
yeah.
I'm not talking about leadership because I think Steph is a great leader.
Right.
But I'm talking purely on like LeBron could do more with this Golden State team right now than Steph could. I think that's just the
Yeah, I
way
agree.
LeBron is. Like that's
I
that's what
agree.
I mean. Purely on the court, not off the court. Because I think Steph is a great person, a great mentor. We've seen him mentoring Nico Mannion off the court. The rookies are getting reps with him. It's certainly growing pains though with the Golden State Warriors because they've looked ugly. They've looked straight up. They've looked
Yeah,
disjointed. The offense has been ugly to watch. They look at times out of rhythm. Just defensively, I don't know. It seems like guys are forcing shots, and specifically, Kelly Oubre Jr. He's been forcing a lot of stuff. So you hate to see it for the Golden State Warriors. I never thought I'd be saying that, but
yeah,
they just it's been a dumpster fire for them through
yeah.
two
It's been
games.
it's been well, yeah. If we're solely going off these 2 games, like yeah, they don't look good at all. You also have to remember they're missing 2 out of your big three. You're missing Clay, you're missing Draymond Green.
True.
Um, Steph Curry, he can only do. He's not that big. He's not good on defense, and a lot of offense comes off defense. And this
Yeah,
Warriors team is completely new. I mean, none of these guys ever played with each other before.
it's true.
Steph Curry never played with any of these guys before. So I mean, it's really they're really taking a chance on this lineup, and I do hope it pays out because it's hard watching Steph Curry getting beaten by whatever it was 30
Yeah.
on Christmas Day. I mean, that's kind of crazy to me, but
It's like I said, it goes into it. What we were talking about. It's a different NBA, man. It's an entirely different world from what we
yeah,
knew. You
yeah,
know,
no, it changed a lot.
and also to your point, with guys like Clay and Draymond Green not coming in, do you almost? I mean, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, it's after it's only been 2 games. See, my mind right now is screaming at me. Experiment
Yeah,
with the lineup a little bit because you might not go anywhere in the West, which I don't honestly think, even if they have some sort of a surge halfway through or a quarter way through the season, I still don't think they go anywhere in the West. I mean, James Wiseman's been playing pretty well,
yeah, he
more than
has.
well. Do you, I mean, you gotta start Draymond. You can't not start Draymond, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, James Wiseman for me, I'll save all the player picks for the for later on in the episode. But he's been really impressing me with the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
Really been impressing me. You know what? He struggled a little bit at first with the rhythm and the tempo and the pacing. But after he got accustomed to that, which is something that you see with a lot of rookies, but after he got accustomed to that, I mean, he was great.
Yeah, he was definitely playing his game. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was balling out, man. He was balling out. So respect to him for that.
Yeah, well, he's going to be getting even when Draymond does come back, which I'm not sure when he is going to. But he's probably going to be on some limited minutes, so I think James Wiseman has a pretty good chance of continuing to get better
Oh, 100%.
getting his minutes in and doing what he has to do to be a great rookie.
Yeah. We could talk about rookies. We could talk about LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, I want to talk about LaMelo. I mean, that Hornets team is looking good as well.
Athletic,
I think
playing at
they
LaMelo's pace. That's something that we were always complimentary of him for. Go ahead,
yeah.
my fault.
No, I was just the whole team in general. I mean, they won yesterday. I mean, Gordon Hayward came off and dropped 28 points, I believe, or
Yeah,
maybe it was someone else. Yeah, but they were doing very well.
they got to win against the
Um,
Nets.
yeah, they were playing like they knew what the hell they were doing, and that's something I haven't seen a Hornets team do in a very long time.
I was watching like,
Um,
is this real?
Yeah, I didn't think it was real life, but it was real, and that team is scary. That team is looking pretty good. He's in like a little bit of a slump, but I think he has to get used to it. Like you said, rookies have to get used to the pacing, and
Yeah,
once he gets used to body contact, he's probably very shell shocked right now. But and Lonzo had the same problem when he was a rookie. I think LaMelo is really going to come out. I think he's going to start doing really well, especially because he has just such great guys around him. You know.
I think what LaMelo needs to do is, you're right. He needs to acclimate to the pace of the NBA, but at the same time, I think what differs him from a lot of rookies, from a lot of other rookies, I should say, is LaMelo. He's shown us that he really can make the game come to him. I
Yeah.
think that's what he needs to do. Like, I think that if he can force the game to slow down to his pace and not the other way around, which is something again we see with a lot of rookies, he'll be golden. So I think, and that could also kind of play into the unique factor of LaMelo as a player. That's what makes him so unique, is that he kind of forces opposing defenses, his own offense, into playing the way he wants to play. That's why he stands out so much. So I think if he can do that, he could 100% make a campaign for Rookie of the Year. Right now, through 2 games, that's gonna be the episode. That's gonna be the title of this episode, is through 2 games. Through two games, he hasn't been playing like it. But I think, like you said, he comes out of that little rookie slump that he's got going on, and I think he makes a surge. I think he makes a play for that Rookie of the Year spot.
Yeah, and it's not like he's been playing bad, so to say. Like he's been playing decent. His scoring hasn't been where it should be, but other than
Yeah.
that, like he's been getting boards, he's been getting assists, he's been doing all the flashy stuff, all the stuff that they hyped him up about. Like he's been answering on that level. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does. I think there's a couple ways that this season could go for him, and I hope he gets the best outcome possible.
I don't know. Do we want to revise our Hornets predictions for this year? We want to be knee jerk. Let's be knee jerk a little bit, Nigel. Let's be knee jerk NBA fans here, buddy. Let's
I
do
don't
it.
know. I feel like yeah. All right, let's do it. I feel like they're gonna come out, where we said, which was, kind of a playoff team, kind of in that bottom 3 seeds, 5 through 8.
Okay. 5 through 8.
Right? Is that what we said?
I think that's what we originally said, and then at some point I said that they were going to be at the basement. They're going to be tanking in style. So I will. I guess. All right. I'll have. We should give our knee jerk reaction and then our actual reaction.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Do you want me to go? Listen.
Yeah, you go first.
Knee jerk Cooperman.
Right.
Hornets taking it all, going to the finals, defeating the late. No, I think. Yeah, like you said, 5 to 8. I could see them, maybe even a fourth. Actually, no, that's a little bit brazen. That's a little bit brazen because the Raptors are still in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. You got Philly. You got the Raptors.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, I think
Yeah.
okay. Realistically, I think maybe a 6, 7, 8 spot. 7, 8.
Yeah.
Realistic. That would be my take. Knee jerk. I could expand that field a little bit to the 4th or 5th spot. But just because you get a win over the Nets doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be. Doesn't mean it at all that you're going to get anywhere in a league that is, especially with the Eastern Conference being competitive as it is. Excuse me, you're not. I mean, they look good. I think that's what it could be chalked up to. They look good.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think if they win the games that they're supposed to win, which, if you can win the games you're supposed to win, that makes you a good NBA team. I see them going 6, 7, 8. No
6, 7,
problem.
8. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
Especially if Gordon Hayward can stay healthy and dropping 28 points like when he wants to. I mean, maybe it's because he was on the Celtics. He's very pass first. But I mean, through 2 games, he's shown that he can score.
Yeah.
It made me think like maybe he was on the Celtics. He was taking kind of a back seat, which I could understand. You're around a lot of young, talented players. But now it's like this is his turn to like step up. He's definitely a part of the big three on this team. So go all out, man. Do what you got to do.
Well, that was also something that came out. Gordon Hayward said he was kind of unhappy with the role he was playing on the Celtics, and that he wanted a more score-heavy first option type of role with them. But at the time, they've been having so much success with that talented starting five after he become injured that they kind of just rolled with that. I think, like you said, man, I always said it. Gordon Hayward is a premier scorer. Not
Yeah.
premier, under premier, like a little bit under that echelon, but he is a fantastic scorer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's kind of, I put him in that maybe a little tier above Chris Middleton. Chris
Yeah.
Middleton, I think he's way more consistent than Chris Middleton, but I put him in that category of player where he's not really a superstar, but he's not even a star, but he's right under that. I put him above Kuzma, right around Chris Middleton, under a guy like Jason Tatum. Does that give you an idea
Yeah.
of where I'd put him?
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
But I think a lot of
Yeah,
people sleep on him, man.
I do think people even sleep. I mean, I'm just happy to see him out there running around again. I mean, that he was it just seemed like he was so heavily affected by the injury for so long. Just to see him coming out and playing his game, it felt really good.
I also will say that last episode we got something wrong, and I want to call myself out and hold myself accountable for when I get something wrong. We were talking about his hand injury, and we were kind of postulating on whether or not that would be the end of the Hornets. That was part of the reason why I said the Hornets would be in the basement. I then looked it up after the fact, and I had gotten some fugazi information from the internet. It was quite literally one of the ligaments or the connector of the muscle to the bone on the hand. I think one of the ligaments that had connected those two had just been partially torn, and he
Mm.
was day to day. So it wasn't anything
Okay.
crazy. He went through
Yeah.
a full workout, so I will cop to when I am wrong. I got to do better with the research side of this podcast, but it's all a learning experience. But anyways, yes, it is great to see Gordon Hayward running around. It seems like he's probably more happy, right? He's happier out there
Yeah.
now that he has a bigger role and more essential role on an offense and on a team in general. I mean,
Yeah.
and a young team, a team that's athletic, it'll make him look better in the stats department. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think, Gordon Hayward's always been one of those players that I loved. How do
Yeah. I
you hate
love
a guy like
watching.
that?
It's impossible. And yeah, I remember I was scared when I saw whenever I see Gordon Hayward's name pop up with injury. It's always very scary because you don't know. I mean, it's just you're
Yeah.
just so used to it at this point, and you just want to see him do so well. But yeah, I think he enjoys being that older veteran guy, that presence, that guy who can mentor. Him and LaMelo go at it at practice. I think that's super cool. I think that's
Yeah.
that's great for his development, and I love to see it, man. I'm excited to see some Hornets basketball.
Every time I hear about him getting an injury, I have a PTSD flashback to his leg going into a 90-degree angle when he dropped on it like that.
Yeah,
I'm not even. I mean, I'm trying to be a little bit funny, but like in all seriousness,
yeah,
that was. I mean, that was one of the worst injuries I've ever seen. Probably up there with Paul George or that college basketball player coming down when you saw the bone sticking out of his foot.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. That was
that
up
was
there.
yeah, that was really. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy for Gordon Hayward. Lord willing, nothing else happens to him.
Right,
No,
absolutely.
Lord willing. All right, what do we want to talk about next?
What's next on the agenda, Coop?
We got.
What's going on?
Nigel said no, right back at you. Deflect. All right, we could talk about. Listen, let's get these players out of the way that signed a bunch of extensions. Let's talk first in the Magic department. We got Markelle Fultz, 3-year, $50 million, and Johnathan Issac agreed to an $80 million 4-year extension.
Yeah, a lot of
What do
people
we
hate
think?
on Fultz. A lot of people hate on Fultz.
Well, because he didn't have the best career coming out of the gate, but he's really, I mean, he's one of those like Lonzo. He's kind of had that like bell curve where he's on the uptick again.
Yeah, well, I definitely take Lonzo's career over Markel's recently. But as soon as Markelle Fultz got off Philly, as soon as he was in a smaller market, there was a lot less pressure on him. He really started to shine better. Is he worth $350 million? I don't know. I hope he is, but he hasn't been shooting well. He hasn't shot well since college. That comes with him with what happened to him and everything. Um,
But
but
he's refined his game quite a bit,
he's been
I'd say.
playing well. He's been taking it
Yeah.
to the basket. He's been definitely playing with confidence. He's been playing like he knows what he's doing. And I'm every time I see him grab the ball, I'm cheering for him. So yeah, I can see where the Magic are willing to take a risk on him, and I think he's ready to go out there and prove him right for him.
Yeah, man. I think you're right. He's kind of like you just gotta worry about that jump shot. I think outside of that, he's done, like you said, a terrific job of refining the way he plays the game and really becoming I'll say, because Orlando is always like that around that eighth seed type of tier team. I think he's really become way more of a vital role in that offense. He's really taken on, I should say, a more vital role in that offense. So I like the way he's played. Again, I don't know if he's worth. However, I think it was 50 million for 3 years. Again, I would have given him a little bit less money, and I feel like that's what I say about every single extension, but a little bit less money, a little bit less time, especially when you have a guy like Johnathan Isaac agreeing to an $80 million 4 year extension. I think Isaac plays a much more crucial role.
Yeah,
He's one of those guys that'll give you 15 a night. Um, I would have given him more money. I guess the thing I'm trying to say is I would have rather taken some of the money out of Markelle Fultz extension and given it over to Johnathan Isaac. I think I don't hate what the Magic are doing. I
yeah,
just think that they could have played a little bit differently because Johnathan Isaac's a certified talent. I mean, a lot of these guys they got extensions based off of their play in the bubble, and I love that. Like Derrick White for the Spurs. Who else? Who else? Who else? OG and the Raptors. I mean, those guys all had terrific bubble play, and I think that's what kind of. I mean, definitely that's what's gone into them getting these extensions. We'll see if they can back it up this year, man. But I have
yeah,
hopes for I have high hopes, I should say, for Markelle Fultz and Johnathan Isaac. I don't hate either extension. I don't know, man. I think the Magic as an organization. I mean, we could talk about the Magic as an organization. Where are they really even going? You
yeah.
know,
Well, I mean,
are they
it's clear
banking on
that
the future?
I think they are definitely banking on the future. And these type of extensions prove it. I mean, Markelle Fultz has a ton of potential. I mean, his career definitely started off a little bit shaky, but he was still the number one pick for a reason. He
Yeah,
really can play basketball, and if they can get back his shot, if they can train him, put him up with some trainers, and really try to like grind it out, I think that he definitely has a very high ceiling. I mean, that kid can move with the basketball. He can take it coast to coast like it's nothing, and I've
he's
seen him do
athletic.
it. Very athletic, very fast, very
Yeah,
nimble, and he knows how to finish around the basket. All we need to get him to start doing is working on that half court setting. And he's gonna be golden. I'm ready to see that happen. And he's been playing well. He's been averaging decent numbers. Even so with everything that happened. And that's not a slump I know a lot of people will be able to get out of. So he's a strong kid.
yeah.
I'm excited to see what he does.
He's showing us the ability to grow. I love that.
Yeah,
Let's talk
absolutely.
about let's talk about Derrick White for a second here. Signing with the Spurs, then we can get into OG and the Raptors. So Derrick White signed for a 4 year, $73 million extension. I think, like I said, this guy balled out in the bubble.
Yeah,
I think he's a great backcourt pairing with DeJounte Murray. I think he'll be the future for the Spurs. Again, the Spurs are kind of in the same situation as the Orlando Magic, where they're banking more on the future than they are on the present.
yeah.
I love that. I love that extension for him. I think he has a bit of an injury bug, so that's the only real issue I have. If he could stay healthy, I love it. I love this extension for him.
Yeah, no, I mean the Spurs are also in like you said, they're in a tight spot. Their recent playoff run has, last year I think was the first year in how many years that they didn't make it to the playoffs.
16, something like that.
Yeah,
I could
something
always look it
crazy
up.
like that. So they're in an interesting position right now. I think the best thing for them to do though is bank on the players that they have and worry about building through the draft because Popovich is going to be able to handle anybody. He's a fantastic coach, and you got to play your strong suits, man. If you know that you got a good coach, you got to get players that are coachable. So I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they'll be okay. The Spurs have always been a franchise.
Yeah,
When you have Pop at the helm,
yeah,
you're always going to be. There's always going to be success. He's a strategic genius. That's hard to say. Strategic
absolutely.
genius. Let's talk real quick about OG Anunoby signing with the Raptors, and then we can get on to the whole Harden situation and basically, I mean, the whole situation with the Rockets, where four players have tested or they're being put in COVID protocol safety. To where I think they're inactive until Wednesday, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's talk now about OG and the Raptors agreeing to a $72 million 4-year extension.
Yeah, no, I mean, Raptors also in that kind of and they're in the East and they're trying to prove their worth, what they can do. They had a really great run. What was it, 2019? They won that chip.
Yep,
So
with
yeah,
Kawhi.
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, with Kawhi. So I think they're also in that rough position where they're not really bad, but they're definitely not looking like they're gonna be number one seed. They're definitely not looking like they're gonna make it out of the East into the
nah,
finals. So, I think that they don't really know where to go from here, and they want to lock down what they already have. And also, try to get some good pieces where they can pick them up here and there, try to build something, get some value on their team, something that they can trade away and stuff. So I don't disagree with that either. Um, I think the Raptors definitely are in a position right now where they have some pieces to trade away and they have some cap space maybe. And they also have a solid team, like Siakam's very good,
yeah.
stuff like that. They have a very solid starting five. How do you feel about it?
Unfortunately, the Raptors right now, I think you surmised it perfectly, Nigel. The Raptors right now, they're in a gray area because they have a
Yeah,
talented team. In, I'd say, any other year for the East, they would probably be. Let's rewind the clock about 3 years. The Raptors, as they are right now, 3 years ago, well, they might have to get past the Cavaliers, but
yeah,
they'd be a strong presence in the East. Unfortunately for the Raptors this year, the East has been blown up.
right, yeah,
So this is the Raptors. I truly do believe this. Saying, hey, we got this guy, OG Anunoby. He balled out in the bubble. He's shown a lot of promise. This is our future. Same thing with the Spurs. Same thing with the Magic. The Raptors happen to be in much more of an influential place right now,
right,
as I do think that they'll be in that playoff conversation. We'll see how we'll see how everything pans out once the season starts. But I still have them being a factor in the East. Just not that big of a factor, unfortunately, because you got the Nets and the Bucks, the Celtics. But yes, this is them saying, "Hey, we got this guy. He's probably gonna be one of the future pieces of the organization. Let's get him now while he's a hot commodity." That's
yeah,
that's what that's what the whole theme with a lot of these extensions have been. Guys that have been showcased in the bubble, and teams that are kind of in a gray area, a
right,
gray area where they don't know necessarily how they're going to go forward. They want to bank on the future. They want to play it safe. Yeah, listen, all of these, I don't mind. I don't mind any of these
yeah.
exceptions.
I don't mind them either. Do you have the Raptors going over Philadelphia?
You see, Philadelphia always confuses me because they got Doc Rivers.
Right,
Who do they have? Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Is it the same squad as last year?
pretty much, yeah,
Yeah, I think they. I mean, listen, they're definitely in the playoff conversation for the East. I don't know if I'd give them the spot over or excuse me, the Raptors over the spot over them. The Raptors sent them home in pretty eccentric fashion. Remember
yeah,
the Kawhi shot, but I might. That's you see, that's a tough one. I'd actually give the if let's just say hypothetically 4 game series or 4 game series, 7 game series, I'd probably give the Raptors that series in 5 or 6 games. I think the
yeah,
Raptors are a slightly better team than the 76ers right
yeah.
now. Right now, two
That's
games in.
fair. That's fair. That's very fair.
I
Philly's
don't want to be
also in
too
like
knee
a
jerk with everything.
yeah, Philly's in a tough spot right now as well. I just don't think either team was really prepared to have the East blown open like this,
That's true.
to
That's a
see,
really good point. Yeah.
no one was ready for, the Celtics to be playing this well. No one was ready for the Heat to come out and make an emergence. The Bucks have always been good, but none of the teams were ever prepared to handle the Bucks. And then you have
No,
the
no
Nets
team is.
coming, yeah, you have the Nets coming out of nowhere. And then you also got the young and the Hornets are on their way up. So I think both Philadelphia and Raptors are in a similar position where they just they're kind of panic mode right now. They don't know what can they do to get the, they never put a plan in place to get them out of this situation. They didn't think that they'd be surrounded by this much
Philadelphia right
talent.
now, Philadelphia and the Raptors right now are doing that Krusty Krab, the Mr. Krabs meme where he's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what they're
yeah,
doing right now. That's what
yeah,
they're
for
doing
real.
for sure.
Yeah,
It's a shame though. It's a shame because the Raptors are always have been for me a fun team to watch, fun team to root for. They were the underdogs consensus last year going into the finals until obviously everyone in Golden State got injured except Steph. But
yeah,
they really, I mean, they've done a good job, especially rebounding last year after the finals, after making it there and staying consistent. You got to give them respect.
absolutely.
But unfortunately, like you said, Nigel, they are stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now in the East.
Yeah, yeah, for
Same
real.
with the 76ers. What do you want to talk about next, buddy?
I mean, you got Ben Simmons probably going to win Rookie of the Year for the third time in a row, which is crazy.
Curveball. You know what? With that being said, do we want to talk about our player award predictions?
Yeah, sure. I'll down talk about that.
Okay, one second. I gotta open it up here.
Way too early predictions.
The way too early predictions.
Yeah.
Well, I saw everyone else doing it, so I figured why not take it for a spin, right? Okay. Here we go. All right. Do you want to start this off? Do you want to cap this segment off, or should I?
I mean, I'll talk about Rookie of the Year.
Okay. I think I know who's yours
is
but...
that what you want to start with?
Yeah, sure. We'll do Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most
MVP.
Improved, MVP. Oh, I gotta do my MVP. Oh, I'll figure it out. I had Sixth Man of the Year here. I had Coach of the Year. Yeah, we'll just, you know what? Screw it. We'll just run it through. However you want. I don't care.
All right. My Rookie of the Year, I'm gonna have to give it to LaMelo.
Interesting.
I think he just plays like he already knows where he is and what he's doing. I think he has the most experience. And I think he's in a little bit of a slump right now, but I think he's going to come out of it. He's going to really start, doing really great things for that Hornets team. How about you?
I think for me, man, James Wiseman has shown me too much through 2 games for me to deny him the Rookie of the Year spot. So I think James Wiseman continues this campaign. I think if the Golden State Warriors continue to play like garbage, he'll be highlighted a lot more than he would if they were playing well, and I think that'll serve in his favor. And I think he keeps his play consistent, maybe even gets a little bit better under the guiding eyes of Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. And I think he makes a strong campaign for Rookie of the Year, in my personal opinion. You want to move on to Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, sure. Who you got there?
Okay. So is it bad that I brought in 3 different options to most of these?
No, I think I have 3 different options for MVP, but go ahead.
It was very because it was tough. It was tough to tell.
Yeah.
I had Anthony Davis probably being the front runner.
That's just
I had a dark horse picks, Marcus Smart and Drew Holiday also making a strong push. I think Rudy Gobert could be in that conversation. Kawhi is always a defensive dog, but I don't know if because he's in the West, he's gonna have to get past LeBron. That might make him look worse than he actually is. I don't know. I'd say at the moment, the front runner for me is probably Anthony Davis.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fair. I'd say Anthony Davis, but I also had a little bit riding on Kawhi. I think Kawhi feels like he has something to prove. I think he thinks that, he's got a really classic basketball mind. I think that he thinks that the way that he's going to get this team started is by just playing defense and turning it into offense. I think that's going to propel him forward and give him a DPOY, in my opinion.
He wants to get back to the White House so we can make a deep fried picture of Joe Biden.
Yeah, for real. But
okay.
I think I see him do. I mean, it's so hard to predict it this early in the season, but
I think it's fun. We always do that, though. That's what we do on the show.
Absolutely.
Want to do Sixth Man of the Year?
Yeah, I'll do six. Who do you have picked for that?
I had Tyler Hero, Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell. I think all those guys can be very important. I'd also give Marcus Smart the spot once Kemba comes back. I think Marcus Smart's going to be real big this year. I think he's going to come out of he'll come out of the gate when he gets relegated to the 6-man spot after Kemba comes back, firing. He'll really just remain consistent because he's been playing very, very well. I think offensive, like we were talking about before, offensively he's bloomed. And I think he'll finally get that nod that he deserves because he's always been. I mean, everyone knows him to be a competitive guy, but he's been in terms of player awards, maybe for good reason, maybe not for good reason. He's been slept on to me, so I think he could be a dark horse pick to also make Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah, and I think that's very logical. I wouldn't even call it a dark horse pick. I think I wasn't even really thinking about Marcus Smart, but now that you mention it, it's like, yeah. If the Celtics are going to do anything this year, it's got to be him. He's
Yeah,
got to come off the bench and he's got to be doing great things. So yeah, I could definitely see Marcus Smart. I agree with that pick.
and yeah, I've seen him. We talked about it. I've seen him come out, come out of the gate at the one spot. He's been playing great. So if he gets back down there and he just continues the way he's going, he's definitely got to be in that conversation for sure.
Yeah, and then you also got like Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell and all them. But
Yeah, Lou Williams. He's always been a favorite. He's
yeah,
always been
so
a
I,
favorite
I'd
for the 6 man spot.
I say either Lou Will or Marcus Smart. I give it to them.
Marcus. Okay, okay.
Definitely, yeah.
You want to do most improved player?
Yeah, sure. I was thinking it's hard to do most improved player because you got to
It
pick
really is.
someone who's not good and then think about,
Or
you
could
know,
it
how
could be good and gets even better. True. That's I think what kind of makes it difficult as well.
yeah, I think Luca's definitely going to be in
Yeah.
that conversation. I think Trey Young. I
Mm,
think they're at the right age for it.
that's true.
The only problem with those two is that they were already so good
Good.
last
Yeah.
year. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have trouble doing that. And then you got a couple sleepers like who knows, maybe Terry Rozier really comes out this year.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward could really have,
Yeah.
like we've seen him do. So I think it could be anyone. But if I had to go with two safe picks, I'd probably say either Trey Young or Luka Doncic.
I like your Trey Young pick because Trey Young is now surrounded by a team. Obviously, like he's going to be in the backcourt there with Rajon Rondo, and we know how that guy facilitates. So he could
Yeah,
have that break. I mean, he's been having breakout years, but he could have that other, that next breakout year that really propels him into that conversation. And I also like Gordon Hayward, man, because as we talked about, he got propelled onto that Hornets team now that he's having a bigger impact and he's performing. So through two
absolutely.
games, he's been performing well. So I definitely like that pick for him. For mine personally, I had a bunch of them, and I'll probably, I mean, after hearing yours, I got to add on to mine. But I had Marcus Smart again for the same reasons I mentioned for Defensive Player of the Year and 6 Man of the Year. I had Jamal Murray. I think he rides off
Mm,
of that momentum that he had from the bubble
mm,
and comes back in a big way. I think Gilgis Alexander, excuse me. I always mispronounce that guy's name, and I got to stop doing that. Shai Gilgis Alexander. I think he has another big year this year. Rides again the momentum that he had last year. I think OG Anunoby coming off that big extension could really be a problem. Jason Tatum only gets better.
yeah,
And then, Luka and Stewart. That might be a
yeah.
little bit of my OKC bias coming out there, but
Dort's been
yeah,
playing well. Dort's been playing well.
the Dort the
The
Dort's been
Dort, the
Dort's
Dort
been
man has
playing
been
real
playing
well.
well. I do
Dort
like that
man.
Marcus Smart pick. That's a smart way to go. No pun intended. But
This
Marcus
entire
Smart.
segment's been showcasing my Celtics and my OKC bias, I think.
Yeah, well, no, I think Marcus Smart is a safe bet, definitely, and I like your Jamal Murray pick. I definitely think that that's a real possibility, and he will get the credit that he deserved because he really did ball out last year, especially in the playoffs. So now, as long as he can keep that in the regular season, he definitely wins it.
Yeah.
You know,
Want to do Coach of the Year real quick before we get to the top shot MVP?
I don't even know who I'd pick for coach of the year. I mean, probably who would you go with?
Well, I had again a few different options here. I had Mike Budenholzer. I think I mean, obviously, if you're at the helm of the Bucks, you're going to look
Yeah,
good regardless. Brad Stevens, another one. Depending on what the Celtics do in the East this year, if they could pull off a big upset with some top tier team, I mean, they're already a top tier team, but a team that's in their conversation, I think it'll come down to coaching. Brad Stevens is a phenomenal coach. I think Steve Nash is the obvious option because he's going to have this new team he gets to play with. It might be also a little bit of a controversial topic because he's a new coach in the league's first year. If he
yeah,
wins that, there might be some noise around that. And then Stan Van Gundy might be my little dark horse pick for that.
yes,
The
I could
Pelicans.
see. I can see Stan Van Gundy getting it. I don't really pay attention much into what goes into winning Coach of the Year. I mean, if your team is the best team in the conference, do you just get it or like
I think it's
because then Steve Nash definitely has a possibility, and
right.
there couldn't be much arguing about that. But I don't think that's really what it comes down to. I think it's what coach had the biggest
Impact.
influence,
Did more
impact.
with
Yeah.
less. Yeah, true.
Um, I think Brad Stevens definitely has something has a clear path to that award if I had to choose one maybe. And you also got a couple other people that we got. What's the name of the Heat's coach? I forgot his name. Eric Spoelstra.
Alex Spoelstra.
Yeah, I definitely think that he could pull it out of his ass if he wanted to. So,
Really toss
yeah,
it down there and just say, "Hey, listen,
yeah,
I'm here. I'm here to stay." This Heat
yeah,
team. Oh yeah, listen. If the Heat can do what the Raptors did and they come back big this year again, yeah, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And he never lost a Christmas game. I think he's like 7-0 in Christmas games. So
Spoelstra's the goat, bro.
he's a good coach. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a little bit underrated,
I don't
because
mean the
he
goat.
had
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, yeah. I think he's a little bit underrated because he's had so much talent on his teams in recent memory. But
Yeah,
I definitely think that if he wanted to prove something, this year would be the year to do it. And that's where I would put for a coach of the year if they came out.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I could definitely see that.
Yeah,
Okay, let's talk about Harden real quick. He has reopened trade talks. He's kind of, you know what? Harden's kind of been playing with NBA fans because one moment he
yeah,
says he's fine in the Rockets and he's good there and he's just focused on playing the next game and he drops 44 points. And then the next day we hear more rumors about potential trade destinations like the Celtics, the Trailblazers. Man, Harden
yeah.
is an enigma at the moment. I still see him going somewhere else. Um,
I
but
agree.
where and when is to me just in a cloud right now, in a haze. I don't think we might figure out about it in 2 or 3 weeks. I could be wrong. It could be tomorrow. I couldn't tell you. Even in my analytical mind as a broadcaster, as a podcaster, I really couldn't tell you, Nigel. I don't know what the hell is going on with Harden. Um, he still plays terrifically. I mean, I gotta hand it to him. CJ McCollum
Yeah,
came out on Instagram and said, regardless of what the guy does off the court, the guy is really good at basketball. I mean, I couldn't agree more. We
yeah,
know that already. What
yeah, definitely.
that seemed like more of a deflection though, because what we need to focus on now and what sadly Harden has made his image as is this guy that is really good at basketball, but also a diva.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, and just and putting your team in risk of COVID. It's really just there's a bad taste in my mouth from all of this.
Yeah, well, that's the hardest part is that he has been really performing. I was watching him play. He's been hitting all the shots he always hits. It looks like he hasn't missed a step. It doesn't matter how much overweight he came back
I was gonna
in
say Fat
training
Boy
camp.
was
Yeah,
was hitting shots.
yeah, no, he's been making his shots. He's been playing very well. There's not much you could say in that department, but the more he does this, the more he argues, the more his trade value falls. And I don't even think that the Rockets want to keep him at this point. I say that they just split ways.
I think also other
Um,
teams don't want to take him. That's the problem.
yeah,
I was talking about it with Jerry on the stream 2 days ago. The more, like you said, the more he kicks and screams, other teams are gonna be like, I don't want to take on that cancer.
yeah, for real, for real.
Like if you have a system, if you have a guaranteed system with a team like the Celtics, you have an ecosystem, let's just say,
Right.
of proven talent, and you don't want to touch it, and you think you might be able to make a run at the East. Why are you bringing on Harden?
Yeah,
I mean, sure he's talented, but he's shown to be the guy now. And I don't care what he says. I don't care that he said he wants to be in a more motion heavy offense. He's shown to GMs, to head coaches, to organizations, to players that he will come in and be cancerous.
yeah.
That's
He's
what he's
gonna
shown.
he's gonna get what he wants no matter what.
Right. So it doesn't matter, I think, how good of a player he is. At least I hope it shouldn't matter. I think teams should I mean, I could see him going to like Portland, but again, his personality would clash with so many stars
Yeah,
and so many systems that are already set up. It's almost like, what do you do
right.
if you're other teams? You really want to take that on? I don't. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's just me.
crazy. He's definitely the more he does this, the more, and especially with the COVID stuff, he's taking his trade value and he's definitely putting it down. He's putting himself in a worse position, and he is putting the Rockets organization in a worse position. He's putting his teammates in danger. He's acting very irresponsibly, And I really hope that he can continue playing well, because if not, then that's the only thing he has left at this point, you know?
That's an interesting point, Nige.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like if he ever, God forbid, because he's so fun to watch. I mean, I could
Yeah.
shit talk Harden for acting like mean and rude and unprofessional all I want. At the end of the day, man, the guy plays a hell of a game.
Yeah.
The guy plays a hell of a game, and he's just very fun to watch. So I hope he keeps that. And you're right, Nigel. The second that goes away, man, all that's left is the
Yeah.
demoness.
Right.
You
You
know,
know?
it's gonna be a sad day when his production goes down, I think.
Yeah, well, he's backing up what he's saying right now, definitely. And, if you can do that, all the power to you. But I mean, that's all he has left is his production. So,
Yeah.
we gotta see what happens. Maybe makes a run at MVP this year. Is he on your list?
I, I mean, oh shit, we didn't do MVP.
Yeah, we didn't
I
do
completely
MVP.
wow, today's a rocky day for me podcasting. I don't know what's up with me today. We could wait, let's talk MVP real quick. Who do you
Maybe
have?
it's Harden. I mean, no, I personally didn't put Harden in that conversation, but maybe he
He's
should
always
be.
on
But
the precipice of that, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
yeah,
been many years where a lot of people could make a valid argument that Harden should get the MVP. He's always in there.
yeah,
He has to be. I mean, he drops 50 a night constantly.
yeah. But I think it's gotta be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he wins his third straight, first time it's ever been done in NBA history thing. I think he wins it, third straight MVP. And then runner-ups, I want to have Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I could see. I might actually flip that around a little bit or move some parts around from there. I could see definitely Luca making a strong campaign this year, especially through 2 games after what they looked like versus the Clippers. I mean, Luca's looking real good. I definitely could see him capturing that top spot. I think Giannis has to always be in the conversation if he really gets better and is shown to grow like we know he can. Sign that big extension, so he's gonna have a lot of incentive to come out this year and ball. I think LeBron James could definitely just say LeBron Cooperman. LeBron could come out and make a strong campaign, but I'd also give Anthony Davis the nod before I might give LeBron the nod, depending on the way he plays. You're right. You know what? This entire segment is way too early, but we're having fun with it. I'd say right
Yeah,
now, if we're talking about now specifically, those are the 5 guys, right? Luca, Giannis, no, 4 guys, 4 guys, right? Because I said yeah.
yeah.
So those 4 gentlemen.
Yeah, well, the only thing Luka has to worry about is, his team taking a top spot, which is,
Yeah.
really what wins Giannis's MVP caliber, don't get me wrong, but really what makes him the clear winner every year is that his team is always number one seed, and that's what's pretty much the most important thing about winning MVP. So if Luka can get the Dallas Mavericks up to 1 or 2 seed, I don't see why it can't be him.
Well, you know what? We can have this conversation real quick. What goes into making someone an MVP? Because, well, obviously that's the answer to that is obvious, but
Yeah,
there is some discretion. For instance, let's just say Luca gets the first spot with the Mavs. He leads the Mavs to a first spot. Everything is hunky dory over there. That would, I think, get him that MVP spot. But
100%.
let's say that the Mavericks absolutely crash and burn this season, and Luka's still averaging 50. He averages something crazy like 55 points a game. Just walk with me here.
Right.
I'm saying hypothetically. Does that play into the conversation of him getting the MVP? And I think we've had this conversation on this podcast before, but it's curious. I'm curious about that.
Yeah. The rules of MVP, I think it's definitely touchy. It's always goes to the best, or most of the time. It's very rarely doesn't go to the best player and the best team. Now, once in a while, they will make an exception to that rule, like we saw with Westbrook on the Thunder when he broke that record, and I think he did deserve it. I think that should have been an exception to the rule. But for the most part, it's the best player on the best team. If Luka Doncic averages something crazy like 55, they might make an exception, but it's usually just going to go to the best player and the number one seed in either conference. That's just how the MVP award is handed out.
Well, what about Russell Westbrook?
That's one of the exceptions. It has to be
That's what I
some
was
kind
just
of
saying. It can
crazy,
happen like that. Yeah.
some kind of crazy exception. But I mean, you got to remember Westbrook broke
Oh
an
yeah.
unbreakable record.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That record was set 50 years ago, and he came out and did it. Um, So it's got to be something like that in order for them to make an exception to the rule. And personally, you can't predict things like that. I don't think Luka Doncic is going to come out here and break some wild record. Maybe if he scored like, maybe if he averaged like third highest points per game in NBA history, maybe. But I just I know the only way he's going to win it is to get that Dallas Mavericks team up to the first seed, or Giannis doesn't get that Bucks team. Maybe the Nets and Heat or Celtics beat out the Bucks for first seed in the East.
Yeah.
But that's really what it's coming down to, because there's a lot of players that are on an MVP caliber, including LeBron. LeBron still is. I mean, if you ask me,
That's
I
what
think
I'm saying.
LeBron should have had like 6 in a row, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, man. What do you think?
That's yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think the four guys I named are the guys to look at right now. There's
Yeah.
definitely some outliers, some off the cuff guys you could look at too, but for the most part, I'd say my solid locked in pick right now is Luka Doncic.
Oh, for you, you think he's gonna do it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see whether there's any reason why. I mean, LeBron has been so complimentary of him, and I don't just come on here and say stuff that LeBron says. But if LeBron
Yeah.
can find, if LeBron puts his trust in you as a player, I mean, we already know we know what Luka can do.
Yeah.
Nobody
I
needs to be
might
reminded.
I might give him another year.
Could be. I think he definitely, either way, whether it's this year, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, Luka is going to be an MVP at some point.
Yeah, he's gonna be the most valuable player in the league.
100%. 100%. All right.
Mark Cuban really cashed out with that guy.
Mark Cuban's the go-to. I mean,
I love Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, I can't be more complimentary of Mark Cuban.
He's the best NBA owner in the NBA.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely.
All right. Might be a little early podcast. We went from, what did we do last week? An hour 45?
I think we did an hour and a half.
So hour and a half out of
this one was
an
hour?
45. Yeah.
Was it an hour 45?
Yeah.
Wow.
Usually we do an hour 30, hour 15, but
yeah,
we could go a little earlier this week unless you had anything that you wanted to bring to the gauntlet here, Nige.
No, I think especially in the beginning of the season, it's very just run of the mill. I mean, we got to just touch base on where the league is at right now, and I think we did that. And it's also just like there's not we haven't seen much evolution so far. It's only been 2 games. We can only talk about what's happened through those 2 games. So
that's true. Through 2 games.
Yeah, through 2 games.
Real quick before we end off, do we want to? We're going forward with the new segmented show, correct? The thing I was talking about where we kind of bring in stories and we react to them. So should we pop in this? We popping this night on air?
Pop the top, baby.
Okay, so I think it's coming out because we do this. We release this on Tuesday, so it's gonna be coming out on Thursdays. We're gonna do a shorter show. We're gonna have people write us in. If you guys, anyone listening, would like to write us in a crazy story, feel free to DM us either at nigel.ap or Coop TV on Instagram with 3 O's. Send us your crazy stories. We're gonna come on. We're gonna react to them. We'll probably do about 3 per episode, maybe 4 if we're feeling good. Send us in your crazy stories. Talk about what we would have done differently, our honest reactions to them, and just have a good time. We want to branch out a little bit and do more content. So that's going to be our extra little show for the week that's going to be under this RSS feed.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's unnamed through now, so I have to figure out a name for it.
All right, that sounds good.
All right, guys. So until the next one, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. God. Yeah, this episode was rough.
Definitely stay healthy.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.